welcome to Logan's Mosh Pit. Glad to have you here. Do me a favor and please subscribe if you haven't already. Today, we're going to do another episode of Logan's List, the series where I get to share my opinion on all things music related, ranging from common topics to obscure topics. It's quite common for bands to stick a song title somewhere within the lyrics. Although there are exceptions, and that can make it difficult for listeners to identify the name. So today I rounded up 25 different tunes whose puzzling titles are missing from the lyrics. I arranged them alphabetically. One at a time, I'll inform you what I thought the song might be called when I initially heard it, and clarify what the real title is. Let's begin. First song by Alice in Chains. I thought it was called And Yet I Fight, but it's actually called Nutshell. Next song by Chumbawamba. I expected it to be called I Get Knocked Down. However, it's really called Tub Thumping. Next song by Cinderella. I assumed that it was called The Last Train Out of My Heart, yet it's truly called Heartbreak Station. Next song by Coldplay. I figured it was called We Live in a Beautiful World. In reality, it's called Don't Panic. Next song by Cream. I guessed it was called I Told You. Nevertheless, it's called Badge. Next song by Crosby, Stills, and Nash. I thought it was called I Am Yours, You Are Mine, but it's actually called Sweet Judy Blue Eyes. Next song by Faith No More. I expected it to be called If Only You Had a Job. However, it's really called As the Worm Turns. Next song by Fall Out Boy. I assumed that it was called Quitters Never Win, yet it's truly called Don't You Know Who I Think I Am? Next song by Led Zeppelin. I figured it was called The Land of the Ice and Snow. In reality, it's called Immigrant Song. Next song by Linkin Park. I guessed it was called Let It Go. Nevertheless, it's called Iridescent. Next song by Nazareth. I thought it was called Now You're Messin' With a, but it's actually called Hair of the Dog. Next song by Pearl Jam. I expected it to be called Fade Away. However, it's really called Elderly Woman Behind the Counter in a Small Town. Next song by Pink Floyd. I assumed that it was called The Lunatic, yet it's truly called Brain Damage. Next song by Queen. I figured it was called Nothing Really Matters. In reality, it's called Bohemian Rhapsody. Next song by Seether. I guessed it was called I Can't Believe in Yesterday. Nevertheless, it's called Burrito. Next song by Slipknot. I thought it was called Until the Time Is Right, but it's actually called Scissors. Next song by Smashing Pumpkins. I expected it to be called Who Wants Honey? However, it's really called Cherub Rock. Next song by Stone Temple Pilots. I assumed that it was called Leavin' on a Southern Train, yet it's truly called Interstate Love Song. Next song by System of a Down. I figured it was called Grab a Brush. In reality, it's called Chop Suey. Next song by the Beatles. I guessed it was called Of the Beginning. Nevertheless, it's called Tomorrow Never Knows. Next song by the Charlie Daniels Band. I thought it was called Tip Your Hat, but it's actually called Uneasy Rider. Next song by the Doors. I expected it to be called Blood. However, it's really called Peace Frog. Next song by The Who. I assumed that it was called Teenage Wasteland, yet it's truly called Baba O'Reilly. Next song by Tool. I figured it was called I Know the Pieces Fit. In reality, it's called Schism. Last song by Van Halen. I guessed it was called Why Draw the Line? Nevertheless, it's called 5150. Well, that's it. Can you think of some more surprising song titles that don't appear anywhere in the lyrics? Let me know in the comments. That does it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate the support. I'll see you next time. Till then, rock on.